This place used to be incredible. Look at that. The All-Mother statue still works. You can still hear the prayers. The All-Mother hears them and turns them into music. This one's broken. The elves never stood a chance. Decimated before they could even move. And here's the Everfrost. The end and the beginning of it all.
Hello, my name is Matthew Tomlinson. Thank you so much for watching my Ambient game sound design video reel. The project which you have just watched some of is the Elven Ruins demo level, which is available in the Unreal Marketplace, And I used that because it was a free template, but also was visually interesting, so I thought it could help create a world. You can see within the Wise project, I thought I would give you a quick run through. We have our master buses, we have a character bus, our environment bus, and reverbs bus. Pretty simple project this. It was just the character, the environment really to work with. We then have our character work unit, which has movement and our dialogue as our two main subfolders, if you like. And within movement, we have jumping, which within it has random containers of land and takeoff. I'll just play you very quick. The reverb is very exaggerated for the outdoor reverb, but I kind of wanted to create a purgatory, or there's a slightly otherworldly quality to this place, and I wanted that to kind of come across, so pretty much the right level for what I wanted to achieve with the project. So those are just a couple of random containers from jumping, landing and taking off, and then we have our footstep switch container, you can see in here, which is linked to our footstep material, which within it has grass, stone and wood, and that is synced up via this blueprint in Unreal, which I will show to you now. And here within each container we actually have a sequence container, which has, these are named the wrong way around, which is helpful, but this is the heal playlist. These should say grass heal and these should say grass toe, so apologies about that. But they're broken down into heal and toe on their own. They sound very odd, very clipped, but when you put them in a sequence container which plays through heal and then toe, and that's just achieved by putting it continuously and doing a crossfade with 0.5 seconds, so that it plays through one then the other with a very, very quick crossfade. And that just means that there's so many variations within each footstep that it will almost never sound the same twice, which is quite cool. We then have the same thing for stone, which is a bit more of a definition between heel and toe, and for wood, in case the character wanted to jump on any of the boxes or walk over any of the planks that are in there. We then have our dialogue, which is just 5 pieces of dialogue which I wanted to trigger at different points throughout the level, so they are set off with box triggers. I won't play the first 2 because they're quite long, but
This one's broken.
Oh, very loud, lovely. I just achieved this by doing a box trigger which posted the event and then destroyed itself afterwards, which you can see here in the Unreal project. And that was just so that once you'd been through it once, it didn't keep replaying every time you step back into that area. Then, within the environment, we have lots of stuff because it makes up the rest of the level. So within that, we have our birds here, which is just a bird sound effect recorded, but then heavily manipulated. You can see the voice pitch and rate, therefore, is down by quite a significant amount. And it just gave it quite a... almost sound more like monkeys or chimpanzees or something, but just a little bit strange, which is kind of what I was going for. Kind of don't know what the creatures are, but you know there is some life in this place, but they're definitely not human. We then have a butterfly sound effect, which I used for the leaves, which are swirling about in the air really rapidly, and I thought this was about the closest thing. You can hear the heavy reverb on there as well, helping lean towards this purgatory idea. Just an ambient sound effect that was placed in the world and set to auto post, of course. And then we have our dust. Hang on, if I go into events, you can see our dust storm. That there is a seek event as well, which just means hopefully you can hear there are slight differences there for when the loop actually begins to play, just for a slight bit of variation. And then we have the Everfrost, which was just a sound effect I created and some music I put in there using some wine glasses and using some smashed glass and some bricks and stones, which I then reversed. And using an Arctic wind sound effect from a virtual instrument, actually. And that was just to create this sense of a cold permafrost. Then we have our flags rustle, which is actually a Creative Commons 0 sound effect I got of someone rustling a blanket, but I thought it worked really well as a flag sound effect. Here we go. As though a flag was rustling in the wind. And then we have our gates and doors. The gates play whenever the character walks past them, but they also are just set to a loop so that they play just randomly throughout the world in case you happen to be near when one creaks. But I thought it would be quite nice to have a box trigger to set it off for when the player walked past as well, so that it sounds like you've disturbed the area and the game might just be creaking slightly. We then have a couple of different ones for our door, our big door. As though it's creaking, something is trying to get out, but we don't know what. And that's just set to sort of keep going over and over again with a random delay. Then we have our statues. The first statue is of the All-Mother. Again, this is a piece of music which I composed. In my head, these are people's prayers that are pouring into this statue to be heard. And this one's still functioning even though the world's long gone. Again, this was achieved by putting some synth pads underneath and then doing some keys and reversing those keys, which is why you're getting those little swells in between. And then you have the glitched version. I quite wanted to create the impression something wasn't quite right, so I went for more of an actual glitched. Like it's been through a tape player 1,000 times and a bit scratched and things, just to give the impression something wasn't quite right and that there might be a digital aspect to this world as well that the player isn't aware of yet. And then the statues which are on the way to the big gates, which are in the same key, just to give a sense of foreboding and a bit more mind your P's and Q's now as you're walking towards the castle. And they'll just play as you walk past, you'll hear them slightly more. And you can see within that I have our attenuations. The statues, for example, never reach infinite, minus infinite. They never go away. Because I just wanted the sense that the All-Mother statue sort of tune is always just there, slightly in the background. They're always watching, to quote Monsters, Inc. So I just wanted to have it there in the background. The rest of them do actually go down to minus 200, which is not audible, and you can see I've added a low pass filter. And then we have our grass rustles, which are just set to box trigger, so when the character walks through the grass, the goddess statues and the guard statues which we've seen, and a tree rustle just for the leaves on that soul tree that's blowing in the wind, and for our sea sound effect, which is placed around the main level area. And then for the rocks, which are a lot closer, the ones that are lapping up onto the platform that the player's standing on. And I'll just... So you get a sense of just hearing that and no more as you're walking past, because it is quite far below where the player is. Then for our water fountain, it's split into base, where the water's landing, and splash, the water's coming out from the top, and they are just placed at the base and the top respectively of the water fountain in the level. And for our wind outdoor, we have a light breeze wind loop which plays all the time, as the player's quite high up and quite exposed area, so I thought it would be definitely an audible breeze. And a series of wind gusts which are one shots which just play at various positions around the player. And if I come into the listener with automation here, you can see I've created, I think, about 12 or 13 paths. Yeah, 13, which just go all the way around the player so that they can hear gusts at any point coming from any direction. Just to add a bit of immersiveness. And these are set to add an initial delay of 2 seconds and then a randomized delay anywhere between 7 and 13 seconds. So they will just play on a loop, and just occasionally you'll hear a wind gust coming from one direction. And that's about it for this level. Quite a simple setup, but just wanted to create a more of an ambient focused reel which shows off a bit more of how I would create an overall world before then going into detail and adding in any enemies or any more active sort of sound effects. So hopefully this gives you an idea of how I would begin to approach a world from a sound design point of view. I'd love to chat to you more, so please do get in touch if you would like any more information or would just like to hear a bit more about any projects I'm making. I'm also planning on doing another video shortly which is more focused on vehicle work and more active combat sound design, so I'll hopefully have that in sometime in the near future for you. Until then, thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll hopefully speak to you soon. Bye bye.